Hello and welcome to our podcast, The Ups and Downs of a Small Business Owner, where we hope to show you exactly what it's like to grow a business. Today I'm here with Dan Cockerton, top salesman, events organiser, business owner, footballer, golfer, crypto enthusiast. Is there anything else you use to describe yourself?
Oh, I love that, Adders. What else do I describe myself as? All-round top guy, legend. No, thanks very much for that, mate. It's very nice and unexpected.
Yeah, that's as far as I've known you in the last couple of years.
Also Cockers, did you get that one in there?
Cockers, yeah.
You mentioned Cockers.
Yeah, should have probably just opened it up with not Dan Cockerton, just Cockers.
Yeah. Explain where Cockers comes from.
So we used to play football 10 years ago, and both used to play for Cranfield, or you used to play for Cranfield before me, and then I joined, and basically you were the one that taught me
everything.
How to play men's football.
How to rip holes in defensive lines. Yeah, we used to play up front together, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was kind of more the pacey guy, and you were more the
fat hold up.
Yeah, I was going to be more polite than that, but
it works.
How long ago was it? I reckon how old am I now? 37. Yeah, probably just about 10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I quit football when I was about 30. So it was, probably 4 or 5 years before that. So yeah, maybe a bit longer.
Probably, yeah. I'd say 2011, 2012.
Yeah. Good times.
So if we go back to, you've got the Digital Accountancy show, which is probably what you're most known for now. But if we go back to the very beginning of that, so I know you worked in sales most of your career. You then worked for Xero, and from what I've heard along the chain, is probably one of the top salesmen at Xero. You very comfortable there, doing really well, and you decided to quit and go for something that is completely crazy and out there, and something that there's already Accountex, there's already these big events in the industry. What's gone through your head to go?
So if I kind of take it back, and I was thinking about this the other day, like what kind of motivated me to want to start my own business and go through all the trials and tribulations and the good stuff and the bad of setting up a business. And you're right, I was earning a very good salary at Xero. Love the job, love the company, love the product. I'd go to barbecues and car washes and just get chatting to people, and people would just say they love the product. And working for a business like that, where people generally love a bit of software that you're selling, it was a great job and I loved it. But when I think back to actually what always kind of inspired me to do that was a number of things actually. One of the things when I was very young was I was very lucky that my best mate growing up at school, his cousin was the guy that bought cash converters to the UK 30, 40 years ago, whenever it was. And this guy bought cash converters over from Australia and built the business over here in the UK and then sold it. Sold it for, I think, 50 million quid, right, which he had a 50% share in. So I made 25 million quid. And I saw this guy's house when I was kind of growing up at school. And I come from a middle-class family, terraced house. Mum was a PA, dad was a gardener. And I saw this house in Hertfordshire, or wherever it was. Yeah, it was in Essendon, Hertfordshire. And this guy's house, Edders, was absolutely massive. And I never even knew these sorts of houses even existed. And, that's always been an inspiration to me. That sticks out to me growing up. I was very lucky that when I finished university, I went to work for a publishing company. The owner of the business, I always got on fairly well with. He sold it in a fairly big deal after a few years of me being there. And I've always had this sort of stuff in the back of my mind. You can do this. Like, this sort of stuff is available, whether you want to kind of sell it or whatever in the future. And I've always kind of wanted my own kind of freedom and flexibility and wanted to be my own boss. And I always got on well with my managers, and I was not a difficult person to manage at work. I always got on well and worked hard and wanted to give it a go. And, I want to kind of achieve things, and I want more time with my family and all that kind of stuff. It just means it comes with a load of shit and a load of hard work and a load of stuff that you've got to do in the meantime. And there's that picture where what does kind of success look like? And you see the kind of flat line going up from kind of bottom left to top right. And then you see the real life story, which is up and down, up and down. But yeah, like Xero wise, my days at Xero, like I was the first person in the company's history to win all kind of 4 sales awards in 1 year. Yeah. So out of a fairly big sales team. And then I was kind of looking after people like you, and I was account managing around 300 firms of accountants at one point, which was quite a big client base, kind of East Anglia and just north of London. And I could see all this change happening in the space, in the industry, in the profession, like technology having such a massive impact, kind of Xero really starting to get traction in the time that I was there, making tax digital was coming down the line. So people had to do it. You had to move your clients onto software. Whether you can see the benefits of cloud technology or not, you've got to do it. And I could just see all this change happening. I could see some firms adapting to it really well. I could see the majority of them kind of starting with it, and the kind of technology ecosystem that was just exploding around Xero and QuickBooks and people seeing the opportunities and the role that accountants were playing in all this adoption, I just thought, do you know what? I think there is an opportunity here to set up a big event that helps educate the market from software vendors to accountants to bookkeepers. And I think there's an opportunity to make a difference and drive change. So my last day at Xero, I think, was the 1st of February 2019. Yeah, that was kind of the start of us kind of going into business and doing what we do now.
I remember that because I think you came to my house on that day. I remember sat on the sofa talking to you about that, kind of going, wow, like,
yeah.
Are you sure?
I was just validating the ideas with you, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're like trying to sell someone an idea, and this happened a lot with my family members and stuff, trying to sell someone an idea where an event for accountants already exists, like some of the others.
Yeah.
You don't always get, great feedback from everyone, but all you need is one or two people to go for it.
Yeah.
I'll take one of the guys who actually said, effing go for it. I was at a 2020 conference. So 2020 are a kind of membership organization for accountants. And there was a guy there called Brad Burton speaking.
Yeah.
And I went up to him at lunch and said, Brad, this is my idea. I think I'm going to go for it. And I was working at Xero at the time. And he said, fucking go for it. Just roll the dice. Roll the dice were his exact words. I think he says that a lot, but and that was the kind of final confirmation I needed to actually start putting the plans in place and go for it.
So you were really comfortable. You in a good place. Yeah. You went for it. You took this dive. How did Lucy react?
Lucy, she was amazing.
Right.
She supports me in everything. And I've had partners. So Lucy, for anyone who doesn't know, is my wife. She was great. She supports me with everything, whether it's work or business or when times are shit or, if I've got a new idea or cryptocurrency, she'll support me regardless. She's great. I mean, I've had kind of partners in the past where they just think, well, your ideas are crap. But that's because I'm an ideas man. I'm constantly, for as long as I've known, because I've always had this desire in the back of my head to one day set up and run my own business and to give it a go. I've driven people nuts over the years with just constantly coming up with all these ideas. What this was. And you don't have to the mistake I was trying to do over the years was I was always trying to come up with a new idea of a new concept and trying to change the world. We actually don't need to do that. Events have been running and accountancy firms have been running for years. Just do it better.
Yeah.
So Lucy was, coming back to the question, Lucy was amazing. Yeah, she was great.
And she didn't have any concerns of you walking away from work, going self-employed, starting this incredible thing.
No. Do you know what? It was the opposite. She was like, well, give it a go. And if it doesn't work, then I can do more nursing shifts. So Lucy's a nurse. She can do agency. The pay for agency nurses back then, 3-4 years ago, was actually really good.
Yeah.
Actually more than what you get paid in the NHS. But so she would just always say, look, if I need to do more, then I'll do more. And that was, just to have that kind of buffer was really, really helpful because it took us quite a lot of time to pay ourselves in the end.
That lines up with the next question then. So you've done all this, you're going for your first big event, you've got all these different suppliers that you've talked to, you're building up traction, you've got your venue.
Can I just butt in here? One of the things that we, just when I think back as we're talking, when I think back to when we were kind of setting up the business and putting a kind of mini plan in place, if I had known how much the event would have cost us in total money, I probably would never have done it. I estimated it to be X.
Right.
It ended up being 4 times that. But obviously I didn't know until, luckily we were getting sales in and people were kind of buying into it. When we look at the overall cost of the event, it was kind of well into 6 figures, which kind of naive little old me thought, it'll be kind of this much and that'll be it. But you just totally underestimate how much kind of staging, AV, production, lighting, venue, staff, signage, software, it costs a bloody fortune to run an event. Yeah, if I'd known how much it actually cost before actually taking the plunge, I probably wouldn't have done it. But
I'm lining up for it. So you've done all that, you're preparing everything for it, and then you find out COVID.
Yeah, that was really bad. So we'd done 9 months worth of work, 9 months worth of sales. Bearing in mind, when we set the business up, I didn't know much about events. I've worked on events in the past, like the commercial side, but never in the organising side. So I've had to learn all that from scratch. COVID for us was a massive kick in the teeth. So we'd done 9 months worth of work. I'm all in from a financial perspective. All my savings is in. My savings went from 50 grand all the way down to 800 quid.
Yeah.
So I watched my bank balance go all the way down, and then COVID hits. So I'm thankful at the time, as hard as it was to watch those kind of news reports coming in, and we were glued to the TV, as you can imagine. We were invested completely in it, time, money, everything. And then, I'm thankful that if it was going to happen, I'm glad it happened when it did. We were 12 months into a business where we didn't have any full-time employees, which was just a couple of us and a couple of freelancers. We, from a revenue point of view, we had the revenue. in the bank. And I'll just take this point. If any of our kind of exhibitors or sponsors or partners are listening, like massive thank you to those guys. We had 1 or 2 companies ask for their money back.
Right.
But on the whole, like it was just, they kept us going pretty much. So massive thanks to those guys. And, it meant that we could adapt. So we pivoted really quickly online. But come back to your question, it was a huge kick in the teeth. My world came crashing down, to be completely honest. Like, I had a baby due as well around that time. Like 4 weeks later, we had a kind of Oscar, our second boy, kind of come into the world. So we had all the pressures of that. So going through COVID, a baby on the way, we had no idea what the kind of hospitals or the kind of maternity units, what they were kind of, if you imagine like back then, this was during the first peak of COVID. So the fear levels were at the highest. Yeah. And Lucy's a nurse. So she was like, what happens if something goes wrong? If I had to be rushed into ITU? We had to postpone the event 2 weeks out from the show, which was...
I remember it being almost last minute. Like,
it was a nightmare.
You probably couldn't have waited much longer.
No, we didn't have any much choice in the end. What happened was QuickBooks cancelled their event straight away. Yeah. As soon as there was one case in the UK, like it was single digits, they cancelled their event straight away. And then I had a load, that was over the weekend, I think. I remember that being on the Friday or Saturday. And then on the Monday, I just had a kind of a load of emails coming saying, what are you guys planning on doing? You're still running it? And everyone was pretty supportive. I don't think we had one company say to us, we're pulling out as a result of it. Because it was also new and the rates were still really low, but the news were just doing a really good job of scaring the shit out of everyone.
Yeah. At any point, did you think, Joe, what? That's enough? Or this isn't going to work?
Not really. So, like, from an event perspective, we were like, well, we can just push it back 3 months. Because Boris Johnson was saying, look, we see this kind of being over in 3 months. If you remember that. Yeah. We're like, okay, we'll push it back 3-4 months and hopefully the world will be rosy. We'll get it. It will come in. It will come out. It'll be nice and quick and it will be done. There was a point probably in early 2021 where we were kind of doing loads of virtual events and webinars and stuff. And I think people were just getting a bit zoomed out, I think is the phrase. There was a point where I was thinking, shit, are live events ever going to come back? Yeah. Or is this going to be the way it is for the next 10 years and more? So that did cross my mind. And to be brutally honest, I don't really have any ambition to run a virtual events or a Zoom business making money from webinars and stuff. It doesn't interest me enough. Yeah. You make money from it. It just doesn't interest me enough to keep me going. You have to be motivated to keep going and go through all the crap times. Events does. I love live events. I love nothing better than going to a live event and feeling something. I went to Swedish House Mafia at the weekend. Yeah. They played at the O2, 20,000 people. They're the best live act I've ever seen. I've seen Coldplay, I've been to Glastonbury, I've been to amazing technology events all around the world, and you can't beat it. You can't beat going to an event where you just go, wow, this is the nuts.
It's the experience.
Yes, experience.
It's the feel, what you see, what you feel, just a whole lot, which is what I liked about, again, you show that at your events, everything is branded up. It's all very visual.
Yeah. You'll see from the event next year, not trying to plug the event or anything for next year, but we're going to another level next year in terms of experience. We're going to a bigger venue. So, we've got to try and maintain that kind of transition from a really cool venue at Spurs where, because of the way it's laid out and it's fairly restricted in kind of space and stuff, you get that kind of noise and atmosphere. And, we take quite seriously the lighting, the visuals, the experience of everything. And our kind of slogan for the show next year is experience matters. Right. And it does, everything. Life is just an 80-year experience and then it's over. So if you can help someone have a better, smaller experience for a day, then that's a good thing. And I think all 6 senses, whether it's eyes, ears, nose, taste, has to kind of take into consideration. So I can't wait for next year. We're making plans. I was down earlier today actually at a company that does kind of lighting and kind of graphic design and visuals and stuff, and it's going to look cool.
Excited for that then.
Yeah.
And so am I. Already booked it off. We're looking at getting a hotel as well, just to make sure.
Well, at least there are some hotels down at Battersea. At Tottenham, it's really hard to get good hotels.
And I think it's easier to get to as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So Tottenham, I found painful to get to. We ended up walking, I don't even know how far we walked, miles. Yeah. It felt like forever.
It's not, and that part of London isn't the greatest either. Whereas at least Battersea, there's lots of hotels. You've got Chelsea around the corner. And it's nice. And I went down into the week and went to the site visit, and I just thought, this is quality.
Again, and this is just me personally, your first event then is happening, or day before the event, you've got everything lined up. You've got tickets which are free. People will come in as far as you're aware. Are you nervous? Are people going to turn up?
For the first event, I wasn't. I was just relieved that it was happening. I'm normally quite a nervous public speaker. I don't really like public speaking, and I'm normally really like shitting myself before I go on stage or have to do a webinar or something. It's got a bit easier because kind of COVID has forced us to do more webinars and more Zoom stuff. But I just had this kind of feeling of relief more than anything else that it was happening. You know, the business was alive. You know, we could do something. And I was actually really, like, from the feedback from everyone, I was just really overwhelmed with it all. But nervous, no. I was more nervous the second time that we did the show that we did this year. Yeah. That was more like, holy shit, people are going to come to this. I don't know, probably because that feeling of relief had just gone. I knew the show was going to take place. Now it's more of a case of, right, we need people to come now because exhibitors and sponsors want to engage with these people. Let's hope we've done a good enough job in the marketing side of things for people to kind of make the trip. The Tottenham Stadium definitely helped get it off the ground because I think you said to me, like, back right at the start, you know, you're launching an event, you're doing it at the Tottenham Stadium, you guys are actually serious about putting it on the map, and we were. Because we could have done it at like a crappy hotel or something.
You could have gone for a small venue. Yeah. I don't want to say too much, but blue screens that are up. Like, it looks very old-fashioned. Yeah. But it wasn't.
I look at that. I look at some of the events on LinkedIn and stuff, and they look so shit. Yeah. They just look crap. Like, there's no thought gone into, like, we do an amazing job of the content. Like, you know, I think we do a better job than anyone else at content. Yeah. So you can have great content, but if people don't get a really great feeling by being at the event and you haven't put any thought or energy into the way it looks, feels, lighting, sounds, you know, just any of that, then I don't know. I just think those events are, over a period of time, are going to die in the end.
And I have to say, I think that's what XeroCon gave me originally. Yeah. So when I first used to go there, it was wow. Yeah, yeah. Whereas other trade shows were just, okay, yeah, you go and see the suppliers.
Yeah, XeroCon's the nuts, man. And I think that was the first event in 2018 that I went to, where you see that massive screen, the razzmatazz, the lighting. Yeah, that was seriously cool. And that's, I think, what really opened up my eyes to these sorts of events. Since then, we've traveled to other tech startup events in Europe and stuff, and see how other people do it as well. And that's the route we're going down.
Yeah. So if you could go back to the beginning and tell yourself something now, what would it be?
I would say, just expect really difficult times. Like, COVID is one thing, but just little things and little issues and challenges and things that you get stressed about that when you're working for a company, you normally wouldn't get stressed about. Yeah. Because you don't know what's going on. Yeah. Whereas where you're running a business and you've got those kind of really challenging times, you just say to yourself, you just got to keep going. What I say to myself in my head now, it's just part of the process. This is part of running a business. If you've got a staff member that's giving you shit, or you're finding really challenging to manage or whatever, or you're having to have like a really difficult conversation with someone, or you've got to let someone go or whatever, I just say to myself, mate, this is part of it. This is part of the process. This is part of that image that goes up and down and up and down. And it's part of the job. And actually, a really good thing that I heard online the other day was, actually, you should embrace that stuff, because if you're not putting yourself in those situations where it is highly stressful and highly challenging, then you're not going to get the rewards that come at the other end of it. Yeah. So exactly. I'll just say to myself, like, expect there just to be some really challenging, difficult times. I found the first 18 months really tough from a mental perspective. Like, you don't know, you know, how to do certain things. You find yourself in situations that you've not had to deal with before. Mentally, yeah. I mean, for anyone that's thinking about starting a business, you don't expect to pay yourself for 2 years. I said that to my current wife. My only wife. Current wife, right? I've not had a wife before that. I don't plan on having another one. But I said that to Lucy. Like, she just started a facial aesthetics business. I was saying to you earlier. She, you know, I just said to her, like, you know, it takes 2 years to build a business. Yeah. So don't worry about don't worry too much about kind of profit and the money side of things, because it just takes 2 years to get going.
And it's also getting your name out there. Yeah. It takes years. Yeah. Like, I've gone to networking events, I could kind of go all over the place trying to talk to people. And it's only now that I'm starting to get people kind of going, oh, I recognise Utopia, I've seen that. The brand gets recognised now, and it's now starting to change, but that's been 5 years. Yeah. How does the majority of your business come in? Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Yeah, Lucy's business is pure word of mouth. Yeah. But she's not a salesperson either. So if I was in her shoes, I'd be knocking on all the beauty salons who don't offer Botox and fillers and pills, all that sort of stuff, and partnering with them. Or I'd go and do the networking. Whereas people like Lucy, whose background, she's a nurse. Yeah. She hasn't got that kind of sales and commercial, I don't call it, not drive or nous or whatever. So it's all word of mouth, which I think
means it's going to grow slower, but that's just the way it works.
It definitely does grow slower. It's a lot easier to sell on a referral because they're already sold.
Yeah.
But your background was salesman.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You've done that.
Yeah.
Like, to me, if I phone someone and they go no, that hits hard.
Yeah.
Whereas I imagine you
just wipe it off.
You don't even care.
Yeah.
Like, you next one.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the stat is now. So one of the things that I've also learned about kind of running my own business, and I've helped other people run businesses. Like a couple of my mates have gone on to doing this stuff, but they don't come from sales backgrounds; they come from marketing backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's the same with them. Like they haven't got not the drive. That's not the right word. They haven't got the skills or whatever it takes mentally to go door knocking or ring them up or email them. And then if they don't respond once, that's not the end of the world. You've got to keep emailing. You follow up. Like Lucy won't follow up an email.
Yeah.
She'll send, I'm completely putting it on but I think a lot of people love that. My friend is like this who runs an e-commerce business. She said, like, I've sent emails out to like 200 people. I've had it back. Well, have you followed up on it?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that because they might think I'm being pesky. No, you're not. They probably meant to reply to your email. They just didn't get around to it. And it's gone out of their universe. And by you follow upping twice or three times, they mean to reply to you. 99% of the people in the world are polite. Whether it's a yes or a no, you'll get a response. But you're right, like the sales, I can't remember what the stat is now for the amount of businesses that fail. And I think the reason they fail, what is the stat again? Do you know what the stat is? Isn't it like 80% of businesses fail in 5 years?
It's a huge number.
Yeah, it's a huge number, but that's because they don't put enough emphasis into the sales part of it. They don't put enough importance on the money. It's about the money. You've got to get money in the door. Like my friend who runs the e-commerce, she's not money. She wants to do it for money, but she's more of a creative. She's an artist.
Yeah.
She's a designer. And she gets more energy and fulfillment out of that part rather than going for the money. I try and reframe her mind. It's about the money. You've got to get the money because if it's not, you're going to die as a business.
And again, going back to myself, I think it's actually fear. It's scared of looking desperate. It's scared of people saying no. Scared of people not wanting it. But salesmen have that about them. They can just go again, and not take it personally.
It just comes with experience. Like when I first got into sales, my first job out of uni, when I was in recruitment, hated it.
Yeah,
hated it. When someone told me no, I used to take it really personally.
Yeah.
And actually get quite upset with it. And it put me off making another phone call for 20 minutes. And it was a polite no.
Yeah.
But when someone gives you a no, it's just a no, you should take it as it's a no, not today.
No, not now.
No, not now. Because also, this all comes back to like self-talk and the words that you're choosing to say to yourself in your head. And in your head, you're convincing yourself that person doesn't want to speak to you again or is thinking this or is thinking that. And that'll put you off doing anything. Yeah. And actually, it's none of your business what other people are thinking in their head. You just got to crack on.
And you don't know what they've been through to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Just coming back to the marketing thing, actually, one thing I would say is asking for referrals.
In business, yeah.
There's one thing, yes, fine, you get a lot of work through referrals and you get a lot of work through your customers' word of mouth. But the best thing I've ever done is emailed our customers and said, do you know anyone? Because they all do. They talk to other business owners and it soon quickly kind of comes back. So that's something I'd recommend to almost anyone is directly ask your current customers. People who are sold already, ask them if they know anyone else that would be interested.
There's that's a great idea. So email all your customers saying, do you know anyone? Is one thing. But then getting them to introduce you is the other thing. Yeah. So don't just say to them, do you know anyone? They go, yeah, and then leave it at that because you're never going to hear from them. Whereas if you can get them thinking about, this guy, I know this guy, then you can say, can you intro me on email? Just get an introduction on email.
Yeah.
Just introduce me quickly.
Yeah.
And as soon as you've got that introduction, you've got a really warm lead there.
Yeah. The introduction, again, I think we've done introductions either way. And because it's come from a valid source, you don't ignore it. If it was a cold email, you'd probably, you've got thousands that come through. You'd ignore it.
What else has been successful for you in marketing? If you can't think of anything, I've got something that I think is really basic. I'll talk once you think of one.
Go on.
So one of the things that's been really successful for us, and we learned very early on. So I'm also a 50% shareholder in a recruitment company, and we joined this kind of independent recruitment company network. And one of the things that these guys said was, when you're doing email marketing, email templated emails have their place, and there's a time and a place for them.
Yeah.
The problem with them is nobody reads them because as soon as one's hit your inbox, it looks like a sales email, it looks like a marketing email, it's got a template, it's got a border around it, you've blasted it out to everyone. It's like a broadcast email. Because of that, nobody reads it because it's not super relevant to the person that's getting it.
Yeah.
Like newsletters, unless it's super relevant, people aren't going to read it. So what these guys said to us was, use a bit of software that can make the email look like you've sent a really personalized email to someone. So as if you're sitting down and you've written it yourself.
Yeah.
So we've got a bit of software, giving away a lot of secrets here. Probably people are going to get emails from me now going, it's Dan really written this.
Dan's not written that, yeah.
And it will basically make the email look like it's come from me directly, as if I've sat down and written it.
Yeah.
And I've sent it into their inbox. And then if you can do that, we've looked at both, we've measured both, and that type of email, far more successful than those kind of traditional templated sales marketing emails.
Yeah.
And that for us, that for us works so well because it just looks like a personal email. So that's just one little thing that we, right at the start, has helped us massively. And it's really, really basic.
Yeah.
So say, for example, you want to market out to 200 companies in the local area.
Yeah.
Rather than send them a utopia marketing email, actually just use this bit of software and make it look like you, David Allison, the owner of this business, has emailed the owner of that business over there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be much more impactful. And you can't do that, if you send out 10 of those manually, you're going to lose motivation after doing the 10 because you're not going to get any response.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that to 2, 3, 4, 500 through a bit of software, you're going to get responses. As long as the email copy is written in a really good way and, it looks authentic and actually you're thinking about their business and you're making it relevant and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you're writing a shit email, you're not going to get a response.
Although I tend to get a lot of that as well. And it's actually the ones that do spend 5 minutes on are the personalised ones. Yeah. If somebody's taken time out of their day to email me something, some of them put our logo on. Some people have put a video and it's got our logo on. I suddenly go, okay, you've actually spent 5 seconds researching my company. Yeah,
that's quite cool. We actually got one of those companies pitched to me last week that do that. They can do the logos in the things. That is quite cool. Yeah, I've seen that. Where you can personalise the videos. It sparks your interest. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It's definitely different. A very clever way of doing it is a Loom video. Open up their website on a Loom call. Because again, I basically open up the email, I see my website. I'm like, okay, you've done something. And a picture of them in the bottom corner from Loom. And it's like, wow,
That's
a really good idea, Adders.
You've done really well there.
That's a really good idea because you're absolutely right. I've had a couple of LinkedIn messages and a couple of emails recently where they've talked about digitalaccountancy.com and I thought, well, all you've done is, I think you're using the same bit of software that I'm using and you're just replacing the company name from Utopia to digitalaccountancy.com, and actually you haven't spent any time on my website, you haven't looked into us as a business. Whereas if you're using Loom and you're looking on their website, you're looking about them as a business, you're doing a bit of research and you're actually going through all of that, that's a really good idea. It definitely gets more of a response. Yeah. Because again, you probably get a lot more emails than I do. But when you get these emails, the ones that have something that you kind of relate to will spend more than 5 seconds going, junk, clear. I'm going to do that. I'm going to borrow that idea. That's a really brilliant good idea. So when I see an email from you with my website on it, I know why. Yeah. That's but for us, we're trying to, so our audience, our customers, well, not customers, they're our audience, like our accountants. Our actual customers are the tech companies that sell into those guys. But we're trying to find new ways on how we can kind of get more people to our events and more of the right people to our events. So that might be a good idea. There must be software available where you can actually scale that. So you haven't got to send out do 100 Loom videos. There is software that you can do that scales that. Obviously, you can't say the names. Come back to what you said earlier about the logos. You can change the logo. I don't know. But if you're doing for you guys, where you've got where you might want to hit 50 companies locally, whereas we want to get thousands of people coming to our event. It depends on volume, doesn't it? Yeah. Whereas you can do that. Yeah. That's cool. Do you do that? Not enough. We've got a few things going on. So building a podcast this year. We've built a how-to video guide through Loom. So that's launched this month as well. I don't want to plug it too much, but we're doing so much and the team's not big enough yet. We need, once we start to really expand, then we'll start doing that and we'll start really going into other things. How many people do you have here now? 4 at the moment. 4. When did you hire your first employee? When? Yeah. And at what point as well? Because 2 years ago. And at what point? Because I was excited. Was it workload related or was it financially related? So did you know that you could afford it? So this is where... Did you do it blind? This is where me and Catherine differ. Okay. I would have done it sooner because I was going on workflow. I was kind of saying, well, I'm getting busy now. I need somebody else. And she was looking at the bank account saying, we can't afford someone else. Which is great, which is what you need. Because if you've got 2 David Allisons in the room, you're going, let's just do it. We'd have 20 members of staff here now. And we'd probably have gone under. Yeah. But equally, the opposite way round, Catherine would be still sat here on her own and working 24 hours a day.
So by arguing it out, it works. But we hired that first person, and that was tough.
At what point? So when that person comes on board, and you can see you could afford to pay their salary and still have enough money in the bank to pay you guys.
Yeah, but we weren't paying ourselves what we probably should.
Yeah.
Or
it's really tough, isn't it? Like, we've gone down the freelance route, so we use freelancers where we can, especially in events because it's so kind of periodic. Like, a lot of our work doesn't come to the event, and then we hire like another 30 event staff and all that sort of thing. But that's always the conundrum of kind of employing people and getting the right people and making sure they're the right people, because if you can get a bad egg and you get them early on, God, it can really kind of ruin your business and ruin your life.
Yeah, I mean, something we heavily focus on is attitude. If we can get the attitude right, you can teach them almost anything. You know, they can learn to do accounts. They can learn to do the technical side of it. Okay, it might take a while, but if they've got the attitude, they've got a customer focus, they can talk to people, which is quite difficult in the industry.
How do you work out at an interview whether they got the right attitude?
So one of the guys that works for us, Ben, we sent him a basic management report and just said, come back to us with what you think. He came back to us with graphs, charts, everything you could possibly imagine that he'd built on Excel.
Yeah.
He'd copied the whole PDF into an Excel format. He'd built out so much. I mean, just that alone was enough to kind of go, well, you spent, I don't know how many hours sat at home on your own doing that. That was him.
And what about like him as a person? How do you like kind of work out what he's like as a person? Like, so what I've heard like other people do in the past is the first interview is actually in the pub.
Yeah. So
because really, like, if you can't have a beer with someone and you don't feel like you're getting on with them, what's the point in kind of spending your whole working life with them? I got that actually from a guy that spoke at one of our events.
So did I.
Yeah, that was cool.
Andrew Van Der Beek.
That's it, Andrew Van Der Beek. What
incredible. Like, honestly, his talks were incredible.
Were they?
Yeah. I'd go to any of his talks, basically.
Oh, really?
Like, it was fascinating.
But he lives in Australia, so we have to fly him over from Australia.
It's worth it.
Is it?
Like,
okay, great. First thing I'm going to do after this is email him. Sign off next year. But he's cool though. Like, what I liked about him was, we're going a bit kind of niche now, kind of speaking about our events, but I love the fact he walked onto the stage, back to a sort of beer in his hand.
Yeah.
Like, that was just cool. And he kind of represents everything that we're about and what I think the future of accountancy is about, and that sort of culture and brand and person and kind of creativity, I think, is the kind of future for, and people like your business here. Like, this is kind of like the future of what I see accountants being like.
Yeah, good. Correct answer.
Did we what was the original question? Did we answer the question? We were talking about marketing and stuff, weren't we?
Yes, I mean, we've kind of fully covered the question, so we'll carry on then. So, are you happy with your work-life balance at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, I think when I've been employed in the past and I've been working for someone else, you kind of resent working in the evenings and weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, this is bollocks. Why am I doing this? I should be. You can bleep that bit out.
No, it's fine.
You just. It's different in sales, because in sales you earn commission and stuff and more money, but you still resent it. Like, you still resent like not being with your family and stuff. Whereas now, like, the last few nights, I've been working all night and weekends as well, like Sunday nights and things. But I don't mind it now. And you hear a lot of people, entrepreneurs, or say, you need a work-life balance. You need to work and then you need to go and enjoy your time with your family. And actually, I've been working the evenings and stuff, and as long as I'm putting the kids to bed, having a little play with them, I really don't care. Like, I'm like, well, what do I want to be watching, like, Married at First Sight? Or do I want to be kind of working and bettering my future, my family's future? And actually, I choose to do this.
Yeah.
If I want success, if I want to build a bigger business and I want money and I want to one day acquire someone else, or I want to sell someone, or I want to sell, or I'm going to kind of benefit in the long run, well, I want to put more into it. Like, I did a bit of work. I was in Tenerife last week, and I just got my laptop over and did a bit of work. I don't give a shit. Like, Lucy did. Like, Lucy was a bit like give me funny looks and stuff. But if I want success and I want to be driven and I want to be motivated, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So actually, when I'm doing that sort of stuff now, and I'm working in the evenings till like midnight, I'm like, well, actually, this is what it's about.
It doesn't really matter too much to you when it's your business.
No, exactly.
Obviously, as long as you're not putting Lucy or the kids or anything out
Lucy's
of the way.
as bad as me now, because she knows she's got her own little business in aesthetics and stuff.
Yeah.
She's actually got on her laptop in the evening.
She's doing
her stuff. So, as long as we have time for us, which we do, then it's all good. So, am I having my work-life balance? Yeah. But, it's probably more work than life. But the kids get loads of attention from me, especially on weekends. And they, from 5 till 7 is kind of their time.
Yeah.
And I want success. So, I'll put the shift in, put the hours in.
So what is success?
Oh, that's a good question. What is success?
I mean, you lined it up.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like I've achieved a little bit of success already in that, you know, I for so long, for years and years and years and years, wanted to one day work for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm really like, I always said to myself, before I die, I want to give it a go.
Right.
And I feel like I've done that now and we've got a business. Like we've made a business. Whether it turns over a little bit of money or a lot of money, we've done it.
Yeah.
And we can sustain our lifestyle. So to me, that's a little bit of success. The long-term play for me is I do want to secure my family's future. I feel like you get brought into a system that is go to school, go to uni, get a job, retire at 70, then retire and live a life after that and then you die.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to go by the system. Everything is a choice.
Yeah.
If you want to retire at 40 years old and go and spend the rest of your life playing golf, like I want to do, then you can do that.
That's success.
That's success. So for me, it's about, I think, you know, building a business, whether we want to acquire or we want to exit. What I want to do is secure my family's future and then have that freedom and flexibility to do what the F I want.
Yeah.
And then kind of more longer term, I think I'd probably want to kind of spend more time kind of giving back in some format. So yeah, I think that's success for me.
Right.
But it might not come in business, it might come in cryptocurrency, which is actually crap right now, but you know, in the long run, it'll be good.
Currently not working for me at the moment.
No? What are you in?
Everything.
Are you?
So I use something called Crypto Hopper, which basically was a bot that followed like kind of what the professionals were doing.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. And it buys in when it's low, when they buy in, and it sells when they sell. It was working great. However, the market isn't working at the moment.
So what happened? So the whole market crashed. And what's it called? Crypto Hopper?
Crypto Hopper.
What did Crypto Hopper do?
Well, it's never sold. So it bought in, but because everything was going down, it's not hit the 10% increase or the 5% increase
right.
that I'd set.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's still waiting to hit that sell.
Yeah, I've used one of those, like a trading bot.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. If it doesn't hit the target, then it's just going down.
It just keeps going down. But I mean, I bought in like 2015 or something ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Oh, you were really early on then.
Yeah. But stupidly, I sold it for break even.
This is the problem, right? I spoke to a guy recently and he sold, I think it was 300 Bitcoin when the price hit 300 quid.
Yeah.
So he probably made, I don't know what he bought in at, probably made a load of money, probably maybe hundreds of thousands.
That was early then. Very early. He sold
at 300.
Yeah.
8 years on, one Bitcoin is worth 70 grand.
Yeah. I refuse to buy
this
one
is
at
the problem, isn't it? Like, do you sell when you're going to make 100 grand, or do you? It's going into the unknown, isn't it? Or do you wait 10 years with the prospect of it making 10 million?
Yeah, what is enough?
You don't know if it's going to make 10 million. For me personally, I have an insane belief that cryptocurrency is here to stay.
Yeah,
I have an insane belief that it potentially has the prospect of being a parallel finance system to the traditional fiat system that we're in now. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, Bitcoin now is accepted in legal tender in countries.
Yeah.
McDonald's in Switzerland are now accepting Bitcoin. You've got coffee shops in Shoreditch that accept Bitcoin. This is just the start of it all. It's all coming.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a matter of time. If what's going to happen is, what I can see potentially happening is this kind of whole fiat system coming to a grinding halt, banks pausing transactions or banks pausing withdrawals, all of a sudden there's a move into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, then the whole thing's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
The market cap of cryptocurrency as a whole is 2 trillion. 2 trillion, is that right? Or 1 trillion. Between $1 and $2 trillion. The next kind of big commodity or equity or kind of asset that you can invest in is 200 trillion. Right. So people are saying that this whole market is going to go up by 100x over the next 10 years.
Wow.
You know, it's the next kind of big way in which you diversify your investment portfolio. So hedge funds are getting involved, pension funds, banks, asset management companies, BlackRock, the world's largest asset management company. I forget the number now that they manage, but they're the biggest.
Yeah.
Even they're recommending you put money into crypto. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Tesla, all these kind of big financial, big institutions are getting involved and they're getting in now. You know, this is your chance to get in. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So my plan, as long as I don't need the money, which I'm fucking hoping I don't, is to hold it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully it pays off.
Yeah. But
then you've got to put up with, it'd be like, again, coming back to this graph, it doesn't go straight up from left to right. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But it's whether the problem that people have is they put the money in, then they need the money to pay the tax or pay the bills or pay the rent or pay whatever. So that's
where
the
the problem.
thing. That's the thing.
It's accepting it's gone. That's what I've done now. Originally,
it's like a pension. You can't touch a pension.
Yeah.
Or your house. You can't buy a house and sell it bits and bobs on your phone.
You wouldn't sell a house at a loss.
No.
Out of choice. Okay, fine. People have to, but you wouldn't decide, okay, the house has gone down in value, let's sell it. Sell it quick in case it carries on.
Exactly.
Exactly. But people
that's
do
because
that.
You can't access it on your phone.
Yeah.
Like you can on this.
You watch it every minute, every day. We'll move to personal stuff now.
Okay, got it.
What motivates you? Why do you do what you do?
What motivates me? I don't want to give you the whole cliche, I do it for my family and kids answer. But I do it for them. And I'm doing it for their financial freedoms is why I'm doing it. That motivates me.
Yeah.
For that kind of goal of freedom, and it really does. I just want to be free from the system and free from restrictions of money.
Yeah.
Doing the job that I love my job now.
Yeah.
I've got a really cool job. I get to speak to fintechs, accounting techs, new immersive technology companies coming through who want to kind of make a difference in this space. So I get to speak to some of the founders that set these businesses up, and get to hear their stories. And then I get to work with accountants, which I know people might go, well, accountants, how's that interesting? But actually the impact that some of these guys are having on their clients and on their business and on their businesses and on their, with some of these entrepreneurs, and the whole space in the accounting space is evolving and changing and you'll know this, it's going from kind of compliance based once a year to more regular support and helping those business owners make better decisions and building better lives and doing more for their kids. And I just love this whole space for that dynamic, not just the compliance side, but the way it's all moving. And I think Xero was a big part of that. Xero was the catalyst and the big thing that really made such a big difference in this whole area. And
there's no doubt Xero shook up the system.
Oh man, big time. To be able to work with clients in the way you do it. And it's now what it's evolving into is people like you and other accountants and Graham Tenick and Alistair Barlow is the difference you're making on these business owners' lives. And we're playing a role in that because we're educating and trying to steer direction and drive change and getting people to change their mindset and look at things differently and trying to help clients different ways. That's for me, I find it super interesting. So that in itself is motivating.
Yeah.
And coming back to the live event thing, coming back to an event where, what you saw at the top mistake with the event has come out of my head.
Yeah.
That was when we did the first walk around Tottenham, they gave us no recommendations on how to run the event, where to put the stages, where to put the main stage, where to have the people,
right,
where to run all the breakout sessions, where to have the stands. We had to make all that out from scratch.
Right.
So they just said, here's the space, do what you want with it. And that's what is quite cool in that you can see all these ideas in your work come out of your head and then you can be in it.
Yeah.
You're in the event, you're seeing the lighting, that's super cool to see. One of the things I'm going to say to my kids when they get older is to tell them, don't be afraid to publish your ideas on the world. Whatever comes in here, have the bravery
to go and do it.
And to publish your ideas on the world. And the world will tell you whether it's good or not. That's fine. And if it's not, that's fine, absolutely fine as well.
Yeah.
Just have the courage to go and do something and have a small ripple effect on the world and the way it's going. And I just think that's so cool. And even if it doesn't work, even if it fails, that's equally as good. The fact that you had the balls to go and do it, I think is just incredible.
Exactly. I mean, how many times have you failed? I certainly failed thousands of times since starting this business.
Yeah. But even if I have ideas for another event or to go and do something, and I want to go and set up other businesses now, even if I fail. And that's the good thing. When you come out of employment into running your own business and you've got a business that works, you've then got the appetite and courage, I suppose, to go and try it again. And I don't care now if I go into another business and it fails.
Yeah.
Because I'm lucky that I've got this one still going. But when you're on this side, it's okay that failure is an option.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's okay. But when you're employed and you've got your money coming in and you build your lifestyle around it, in your head, failure isn't an option. You don't want to be seen as a failure. Entrepreneurs will tell you failure is an option. That's absolutely fine and it's great.
When you're an employee, when you fail, you get a disciplinary.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You get a second disciplinary and you're gone. You're not allowed to fail as an employee.
Yeah, but I was thinking more of when you're an employee and you want to go and set up your own business, and you're going for that jump. So you're employed, you're going, right, I built my money and I built my life around this income. this business has to work, otherwise I can't pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like failure kind of isn't an option. And if you do fail, you're probably scarred for life.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got financial pressures at home and all that kind of stuff. So what was the question? What motivates me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think interesting work, live events, family, money, building. I think where we want to get to with our business is, at the moment we're in an event, we're going to have 1,500 people next year. We want 20,000 people there. We want to be the size of some of these really cool startup tech conferences in Europe where they have 50, 60, 70,000 people there. We want 20,000 people at ours and more, where we want to become like a super event. And we just, when we get to that sort of size and it's massive, then that keeps me going as well.
Okay. So you're still hungry for more. You're still hungry to go further.
We've not even started. We've not even started.
Good. And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
So who's had the biggest influence on your life?
I would say business life or
your life.
Do you know what? This actually, I know I keep saying this, but it's actually probably because I knew this was coming up. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that one of the people that had the biggest influence on my life, who would that be? One I would say was when I was at school, I left school fairly naive to go to college, and our form tutor was a guy called Anthony Papatomas at college, and he just got me and us as a group, and my best mates now, who I'm going for a few beers with tonight, he just got us to see that the world is a much bigger place than what it is. He got us to see that, hard work is really, really important. They'd say to us, like, doing lessons and stuff, like, there's no weekend without a week. And he'd come up with, he was massively into like Rocky films. Right. So he'd always come at us with these kind of Rocky quotes that we'd never heard before. Good. So he kind of really opened up our kind of eyes to like the world and stuff. Who else has had a massive influence on my life? Who's got me to kind of, don't know really. Like mums and dads and stuff, like they're pretty cool. Yeah. They gave us, we had like a great childhood, great like kind of growing up and stuff. But yeah, I'd say probably my form tutor really got us to see things differently. And also what Anthony Papatomas did was actually make us understand that being a good person is really important. Right. Like being a good person and being a good guy is really good. So I'd probably say him, like if I kind of think back more recently, I don't know how to think about it. So what about for you?
I've put that all on mine. I think my dad is probably my biggest influence. Like I had like a few things happen at home.
Dad was a rock.
Mum went. My dad was there. Like dad was just there. Like, and he's always positive. He's always happy. Like that was huge for me. And he's always relaxed. Like, I don't think he's ever been stressed. Yeah. Maybe twice.
That's important, isn't it? And I'm learning that now as a dad, that I see my dad in me sometimes when I'm kind of with my kids and some things I don't like. Yeah. And just, I think I can pass a lot on to my kids with like positivity and visualization and the impact of good energy and bad energy and mindset and stuff. Like if your dad's always been like that, that's cool. My dad's a bit negative. My dad's always glass is half empty. Yeah. My mum's the opposite. My mum kind of lives life to the end, but my dad's quite a negative bugger. So I don't really kind of like, I'm not really influenced by that. Yeah. But if someone's got a parent or parents where it's all about reach for the stars, have a massive ambition, go big, when the odds are 1 in a million, be the one. Like I never had that. But that sort of mindset is really cool and really can have a big impact on a young person's life. Yeah.
He's never out big. He's never done huge things himself. He was a farmer. So like, but he was always present. He was always working. Whenever he was around us, he was always present. He was always there. And that was huge. Like he always kind of, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Have you seen that Jeremy Clarkson farming program?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
My brothers love it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but someone was telling me about it. That actually shows you how hard work being a farmer is and the little money you earn.
I could talk to you about that all day. Yeah. That's for another day.
Apparently it's really good.
So if we're going to a dinner party, you've got one person you take, past or present. Who are you taking and why? And what are you talking to them about? You've got anyone in the world you can talk to. You've got an hour.
Who was yours?
Who was mine? Oh, God. I can't remember.
I want to choose someone who I really would just by speaking to them, would just have such a massive impact on the way I think. Yeah. So anybody that believes that mindset and your self-dialogue and your self-talk is the most important thing that you can have. Anyone that kind of can talk to me about that sort of stuff, that can help me master my own thoughts, I would want to spend some time with. Have I seen anyone on a podcast that I've been really impressed by recently? Do you know what? Actually, having said that, I'm probably going to go with something a bit more casual, and I'd probably take Peter Jones from Dragon's Den.
Okay.
Because he's someone that I look up to. He's had a huge amount of success, plays golf.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw him in Portugal at a golf club. I didn't have the balls to go up to him and ask him for a photo. But he's someone I think I'd like to spend some time with. And I just want to talk to him about business.
Right.
And challenges and what's worked and where he's had most of his success and how he's managed people and how he's built his empire.
Right.
And by spending your time with people like that, you're not going to waste your time.
Yeah.
And I just think me and him would be like best mates. He'd get on really well.
Here's a cheap plug then. We've had a client that went on Dragon's Den and got funding from him.
Peter Jones. Wicked. Which company can you say?
No, I can't say.
Okay. It's
on telly, yeah.
You can't say who.
You could say it.
They're your client. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, they managed to get funding from Peter Jones, which
and then I
pretty
think
cool.
become like really good mates and go play golf all the time in Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to you're not a golfer, are you?
I mean, I swing my clubs, but I don't.
If some of these courses out in Portugal, like Quinta de Largo, you go around and you see these houses on Quinta de Largo.
Yeah.
I mean, they must be owned by like footballers and Peter Jones, people like that. But that's kind of like where the dream is.
That's success.
If I'm 50 years old and I'm in one of those houses overlooking the golf course, watching people hit down par 3, and I've got a San Miguel in my hand, so I've got my feet up, and me and the kids are kind of driving around on buggies and stuff in Portugal. That's when I know, like, yeah, this is it.
Okay, good. So, what's the most interesting thing about you that I don't know?
I got asked this when I joined Xero. I got asked this on an all hands. So all hands are meetings. They cover lots of different things, strategy and company direction, that sort of stuff. You've got 200 people all in one space, looking at kind of Gary Turner or whoever the MD is, kind of delivering all the kind of cool stuff about what the company doing. And then anybody that's new has to go up on stage and answer exactly that. What's interesting about you? And I kind of shat myself, and I couldn't think of anything in that moment because I didn't know I was doing it. Yeah. And I was like, right, what am I going to say here? First thing I could think of, well, this guy was sitting opposite me, a guy called Ashley, what's Ashley's second name? I can't remember his second name now. Ashley Driver.
Yeah.
And me and Ashley used to work together at River Island in Northampton.
Oh, okay,
so wow. That I could think of was, well, me and Ashley used to work together in River Island, and he was the guy up front and I was the guy at the back kind of hanging all the t-shirts up. But what's interesting about me, I don't know, like, I used to watch Dragon's Den, Game of Thrones. Yeah. I used to live 5 doors down from Jon Snow, so Kit Harington. Right. In London.
That's pretty cool.
That was quite interesting, quite cool. But I don't know, like, anything more interesting than me, really.
You're a scratch golfer.
No, I'm not, though. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible golfer. But I like playing, so if anyone wants a game, then just let me know.
Good fun.
You're probably with. Whenever I find myself talking to people, I realise that I've done quite a lot in my life, like just from like a travel and holiday perspective. And I know a lot of people can play. Like, I've been to Vegas 5 times. And I always feel like people go, I always say you've been to Vegas. I go, no, really? I've been 5 times. I love it. So I've been on holiday. I've been on lots of holidays, and I'm really grateful for that. But interesting, like, and people don't know.
Before Xero, didn't you quit your job and go travelling?
Yeah, that was quite interesting. Yeah, I went and lived out in Qatar for a year. We were going to stay for a lot longer, but just didn't work out for Lucy. So Qatar, lived out there for a year. The World Cup's obviously coming up this year, which is kind of flown around. So our original plan was to go work in Qatar, live there for 7 years, do the World Cup, and then come home. Right. But Lucy's job didn't materialise in the way we thought it would, so we ended up coming home like a bit earlier. But yeah, that was great. Like, love the culture. It's a bit more westernised than Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Despite what people believe, you can do a lot of socialising out there, beach parties and cool beach clubs and stuff. And yeah, loved it. Just work was tough though. Social time was great. Culture was great. Work was tough. Right. The kind of Qatari and the kind of more Middle East way of working is quite a bit to get used to. Right. But yeah, that's quite interesting. Yeah, so I'll take that. There you go. Oh, another interesting bit is actually I've got a heart condition. So I was training for the London Marathon in 2015, I think it was. And I got like really bad chest pains going home. Right. And because I was doing the marathon and Lucy's in there, she said, right, let's go to hospital. But I didn't have like a heart attack or anything like that, or a stroke or anything like that. But they did find a kind of heart defect, which was found by accident. That wasn't why I was having the chest pains. I was having the chest pains because of like indigestion or heartburn or something. Yeah. Just because I ate the wrong foods. Yeah, by accident, I found out I've got a heart condition. So that's what stopped me from playing football. Right. I had to I don't think I was at Cranford United at the time. And I wasn't. No. I was back down south. I was in London. So that's what actually was the main catalyst for me stopping playing football. Wow. So that's a little bit interesting as well. Okay, so does that stop you doing anything now? Like too much exercise? Yeah, intense exercise. Yeah. Intense exercise. But when you ask the doctors around what you can and can't do, the NHS guys will go, you can't do anything. You can't even drink coffee. Yeah. You can't do any exercise. You can't do anything. You've got to look after yourself. Whereas the cardiologists, the heart doctors are like, no, you can do all that stuff. And the honest answer is, we don't know if something could be really bad for you, but don't do any like deadlifts and intense explosive exercising.
Right.
Extreme stuff.
Yeah.
Extreme stuff. So, and like just, getting on football as well. Like I played football when I was like 30, 31. I was playing for a kind of an old boys team down in London somewhere. And some of these guys, I was kind of in an old boys team actually, because the reason I was about to say I stopped was these 18, 19 I was just kind of legging it past me.
They're too quick.
Yeah, that's what I was like a few years ago. So I this just isn't me anymore. Their attitudes were crap as well. I was trying to shake some guys, hey, we'll shake my hand after the game. It was like a little scrawny guy, 18-year-old. I was like, what is the point in this? Like, I just want to play football with men and guys who can like have a battle on the field and then like shake hands after a beer.
Once that final whistle's gone, it's all happened. Yeah.
None of us can be pros, so.
Yeah. So, okay, closing then. What would you like to leave behind?
I would like to leave behind. So because my dad is like so anti-risk.
Yeah.
And a little bit miserable, not all the time, it's a little bit miserable. Like it kind of puts me the other way. So I take loads of risks. I've gone all in on crypto. I've set my own business. And I just pride myself on being someone who takes risks. I think as a result of my dad being so anti-risk, like, it sent me the other way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, if you've got like I don't know this, but I would imagine if you've got an alcoholic dad, it completely puts you off alcohol. And I'm kind of like that. I'm like, my dad's so anti-risk, it's kind of sent me the other way. I could be totally got that last bit completely wrong, by the way. And I probably have, but I was just trying to explain what I'm thinking. I want to be remembered as someone who just went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just had a big pair of balls, a big set of kahunas, and just went for it. If it's all in every time, I'll go all in every time.
Yeah.
With with the kind of necessary risk assessment and all that sort of stuff. I'll go for it every time.
Yeah.
Not to a stupid point where it's kind of red or black and I'm gambling my whole life.
Yeah.
But I want to be known for someone who's got a set of kahunas on him, who goes for it.
Who tried it
and went for it, and wasn't afraid to take a risk. That's kind of the thing. And that's probably why I've gone all in on crypto.
Yeah.
Because I've just got that mindset. And as long as I feel like it's the right thing to do and I have a belief that that's the direction of travel it's going in, then I want to go for it. And also, like, from a legacy point of view, like, I've been thinking a bit about legacy as well, because somebody asked me about it.
Yeah.
And just to kind of finish on this as well, like, I do, once I've gone through the points of kind of secure my family's future, and that's kind of where I want to go in my life. Like, I do want to give back, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think I want to give back, so there was a Channel 4 documentary a few years ago on, it was an experiment with old people in a care home and how they can reintroduce them into society. And what they did was they brought these kind of 4-year-olds in to see these elderly people in a care home every day for 7 weeks. And before the experiment, they measured these people, they surveyed them from all different parts of their life. So reason for living, health and fitness, mental state, and they scored them out of 10. It was all like done scientifically with a proper system and stuff, and they kind of measured their results and stuff. After 7 weeks of spending with these 4-year-olds, every part of these old people's lives improved. Every part.
Right.
Health, fitness, like the jump test where you see how high you can jump up.
Yeah.
Like everything, mental state, reason for living, score out of 10.
Wow.
These elderly people go into these care homes and their lives they're done. These guys aren't in there because they're ill.
Yeah.
They're in there because that's just where they're going to end their life.
Yeah.
They're completely with it. They're completely sane. And it was amazing to watch. This guy had one leg. He was an old boy and didn't want to do the experiment at the start.
Yeah.
His kids would come in. He'd be on his newspapers all day. Didn't want anything to do with it. By the end of the 7 weeks, he's on the grass, rolling around playing with these little kids.
Yeah.
And every single aspect of their life was improved by like 2 or 3x. It was incredible to watch. And that's kind of always stuck in my mind. So I thought, well, one day, how can I play? It's a bit like when I was kind of working with accountants and I was account managing 300 accountants for Xero. How can I have a bigger impact?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to look into once I've kind of done whatever I'm going to do in the business world, I know it might take me till I'm like 60, 70 years old, I might not get a chance to do this. But actually what I'd love to do is set up a charity or set up something that can help reintroduce the elderly people back into society.
Yeah.
Because like these people were scared to go down the shops,
yeah,
on their own or in groups. And these kids were helping reintroduce them back in society. So in your last 20 years of life or 10 years of life, whatever it might be, there's still reason for living.
Yeah.
There's still opportunities out there. There's still people to go and see. There's still laughter to be had. There's still love to be had. And there's still human interactions to be had. When you go into a care home and you're old and you're struggling to get around, there's still a life there to be had. I don't think it's right that you go into your care home or you go into retirement, you go into a later stage of life and you feel like it's the end.
Yeah.
And you live in a depressed state of mind I think that we should be, as a government and as a country, we should be doing more to reintroduce these people into society, because they've given us so much over the years.
Yeah.
Whether it's through paying tax or serving in the forces or just contributing to society. Why do we then kind of forget about these guys? And you think about the pandemic and what happened with care homes and all that sort of stuff. So that, and coming back to your question earlier about motivation, that's actually something I've only mentioned this to a couple of people.
Right.
Lucy's one of them. And I think I mentioned it to Trent McLaren when I was really pissed on his leaving do when he was working at Accountancy Mission. But other than that, I've not really mentioned that to anyone.
So it's an exclusive.
That's kind of a big driver for me. You've got a world exclusive, mate.
Good.
That's kind of, for me, that's how I'd love to be remembered, and my legacy and all that sort of stuff as well.
And I think with the care homes, like, you put people in them care homes and surrounded by people who are, without being nasty, like surrounded by people who are dying, disappearing. How can you be so happy and positive when you're surrounded by such negativity?
But someone has to play a part in bringing those energy levels up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's, if you've got, I mean, you know what it's like when you go into an office and you've got one bad egg in the office. Their negativity spreads like wildfire and it brings the whole group down.
Yeah.
Imagine going into a care home where you've got, say, 40 people and 20 of them are like, I want to die. I just feel like dying. Like, that's going to rub off on the rest of them. And then the morale of that care home and the people, I mean, I could be completely wrong. I'm just going by what I judge and what I've seen in this documentary.
Yeah.
But, you know, and actually, having said that, I think there are care homes now where they do have like a nursery on the side, a children's nursery on the side of it for this exact reason. But this is just, I don't know, I think this is something where I would like to get into, and I've actually bought a domain name. So I think it's one small step,
right,
.co.uk that I own.
One day.
For later on in life, like when I'm ready to set up this charity. And the reason for that is one still small step, as in like a children's step.
Yeah.
But also it's just one small step that you take to be able to start to come out the other side. You know, with anything in life, when you want to do something different or you want to change something, or, you know, you've got to take the first small step, as we were saying earlier, you just got to get started. Yeah. So it's that kind of analogy that
I like it.
Want to do, yeah.
So I look forward to seeing that as well then.
Yeah, so once we've done whatever we're going to do in business world and been kind of mega successful entrepreneurs, watch out for One Small Step charity or whatever.
Brilliant. Well, cheers, Dan. And
thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Hope I didn't babble on too much and got some good stuff in there.
I'll stop here. If you've enjoyed listening to our podcast, please like and follow, and make sure to tag us on social media.